haven't looked at any of the gameplay for that. But hopefully if you get it, you have a good time with it.
Tent. He can respond to some simple verbal commands. You can try calling his name and see if he'll come over.
Whoa, sounds pretty advanced. Let Paimon give it a try. Hey, Thelxie, are you there?
It's so cute. I want one.
So that's Fremone's version of Thelxie. It's also penguin-shaped, just like Pear.
Yep. Had Thelxie lived in Penguin Town, he'd probably have become great friends with Pear.
Where's Penguin Town?
It's not really anywhere famous or important. Don't worry about it.
Hey, Thelxie. Nice to meet you. Do you know how to say hello?
So, can Thelxie talk?
I wanted to install a language output module, but due to time constraints, I had to give up on the idea. As it stands, Thelxie can only output messages that were pre-written into its motherboard. I haven't given him the ability to convert those messages into discernible words, so he can't really talk to us just yet.
No need to get so technical. So basically, you want us to help you complete and install this language module, right?
No, there's no need. That wasn't one of my employer's requests. It was just something I wanted to try. I have 2 other things I'd like your help with. The first is to do some integration testing on Thelxie's motherboard, to make sure he will be able to function properly in most situations.
That doesn't sound too hard. And what's the other thing?
The other shouldn't take too long either. You'll need to find Thelxie some colorful shells and coral, so I can craft a weapon for him.
A weapon? Will
Interesting.
Thelxie have to fight?
Mm-hmm. Thelxie will need to be able to charge forward with a weapon in hand, like that brave prince of legend. It's a part of my employer's request.
What an imaginative employer! Naming Thelxie after a water imp, but wanting him to look like a prince?
Well, regardless
That lady
of
said
his
Thelxie's
role
supposed to
or
have a handsome
species,
face.
Thelxie's purpose is the same. Just like Pear, he has come to this world to serve as somebody's companion.
Whoa, Thelxie just said something again! Could he understand what we were just talking about?
He can react to certain key words, but unfortunately, due to the lack of a translation module, he still can't quite communicate with us.
That's a pity. But anyway, the most important thing right now is for us to get to work. Maybe let's start by doing some testing on the motherboard. That sounds like something we can do here in the camp.
Sounds good. The motherboard is on my workbench, so please follow me.
I have to work on electronics? That is not what I expected from this event.
Here we go. I have this testing manual, so feel free to reference it if you get stuck. Want to give it a try? It's okay if you don't succeed immediately. I've got a lot of backup boards just in case.
Sure, I'll try.
Okay. Knowing you, I'm sure you'll be able to figure it out.
Well, I have to if I want to get paid. I did not realize you hate exploration that much, Saint Dane. But hey, if that game lets you do everything from the main menu and cut out the exploration, go for it. Sure, let's debug the motherboard. Did I read the instruction manual? No, but everything will turn out fine, surely. After pressing X, use the left joystick to assemble the circuit. I don't like how long the most recent Archon quests have been. It's not even that they haven't been interesting, because like the last part of the Archon quest, I think it was Act 5, that was interesting to me. It's just all the build up to get there was a bit much. Use left joystick to assemble the circuit. Sure. Go. Wait, what? Wait, what? Rip. What am I doing? How do I get this to turn? Aha! Everything makes sense now.
Melusines are beautiful creatures. They are the pride of Fontaine. Be sure to befriend them and cause them no harm.
You're doing well. Just as I expected.
We've taken on a lot of similar tasks before, you know.
For my mobile games, I don't usually play like anything like Genshin. Like I'm playing Genshin on my PS5. I usually play like homescapes, gardenscapes, so I could just do a level while I'm like waiting in line somewhere and just shut it out at ease. You've only had chess, Uno, and a puzzle game. Oh. I've tried a lot. I got my mom addicted to Mahjong. And obviously I play Pokemon Go. That's the only thing that makes me go outside and like actually touch grass.
Then let's move on to the underwater part. It's just as I mentioned earlier. We're after colorful shells and coral. Oh, speaking of which, you're both already pretty used to Fontaine's underwater environment, right?
We are pretty much experts now.
Okay, that's good. Just let me know if you ever feel uncomfortable. I'll make sure to stay right by your side.
The last time you played Pokemon Go was 2016. My account, I downloaded the game the day it came out, and I took a break for a while, but it's something to do. Makes me exercise. I live near a bunch of parks, so it actually encourages me to like go out for a hike or walk or whatever. Use the things that I live near. Where does he want me to go? All the way over there? Fine. I want that box. That box is for me.
It should be right over there. We'll be able to find something that'll help us with our search.
One moment, Fremine. This thing needs to go. My crystal flies.
This is it. We call this thing an echoing conch. It can detect special reflection waves in the water to help us with all kinds of underwater exploration and excavation efforts. Here, try it.
This is a very big shell to make a weapon for that tiny little penguin.
Did you notice any interesting places? The echoing conch should have detected some just now.
Oh, okay.
Let's go check them out.
We're not using this. We're using it to find the things we're going to use. Makes more sense. I like that they gave you currents because they're like, no one's gonna want to swim around without the currents.
All right, these should be enough. Let's head back to camp. Thank you for staying out here with me all this time.
Dude, we were underwater for like less than a minute. It was fine. I can teleport to the penguin. Hello, random lady. Zuria Destry.
Ah, Fremine, you're back. I thought you might have been out diving.
I'm sorry, Madame d'Estray. I must have kept you waiting. I can report, though, that the construction of Thelxie is going quite smoothly.
There's no rush. I'm your employer, not your supervisor. And these two are...
Oh, they're two of my trustworthy companions. They're here to help me work on Thelxie.
Yes, I see. I suppose it's only natural for someone responsible like you to have some reliable friends.
It's really nice to meet you, Madame Destray. Are you Fremine's employer? Paimon is Paimon, and this is the Traveler.
Greetings, my new friends. Just call me Zuria. You are both so adorable. The sight of you reminds me of little fairies under a cottage roof.
Why under a cottage roof, though?
Oh, do you really think so?
Do I look like a fairy?
Of course. If my child had friends like you, then perhaps he wouldn't have become so obsessed with the tales of water imps. And I wouldn't have had to trouble Fremine here with this commission.
Obsessed with the tales of water imps?
Ah, so you don't know anything about my request yet? I would have thought Fremine had explained it to you already.
Well, Fremine told us that it was a private matter, so he didn't want to just share it willy-nilly.
I see. So Monsieur Fremine is even more discreet than I had thought. As you are assisting him with the project, I believe it'll be beneficial for you to learn more about its vision and history. But it would be quite impolite of me to simply pile all of my troubles on you without your permission. So, would you like to listen to my story?
Sure, you can.
I don't think I get a
anything.
choice, to be
You've already
honest.
said nice things about us, so we'll try our best to help you get through your troubles.
Ah, what a lovely little fairy. Then let me think of a way to put my situation into words. I'm sure you're already familiar with the tale of the water imps, right? Simply put, parents came up with a story, painting water imps as scary abductors in an effort to convince their children to stay away from the water. My child is rather special, however. While most other children are terrified of Thelxie, he's infatuated with him.
Interesting.
Infatuated? With a water imp? What a brave soul.
Is this just like all the kids that are obsessed with horror games right now? Like Five Nights at Freddy's and Poppy and whatever? Kids like weird things, lady.
Yes, he told me that he thought the water imp might have just been misunderstood. In his mind, instead of singing to abduct children, the water imp actually sang out of a longing for companionship. As a result, he often goes near the water in secret.
Huh. So he wanted to become friends with the water imp so it wouldn't be lonely any longer? What a unique way of thinking.
Thank you, little Paimon. He indeed has always stood out from the crowd. He was actually diagnosed with loneliness syndrome when he was only 8 years old.
Is loneliness syndrome a real thing?
It's a type of mental disorder. Those affected by it often feel extremely lonely and lose interest in many mundane activities. The syndrome is probably what made him so determined to become friends with the water imp.
See, I grew up playing video games, but not that type. It was definitely more like classic RPGs, like Final Fantasy, the Tales of franchise, a Mario game here and there, Pokemon. But I could not with Five Nights at Freddy's. One of my friends is obsessed with the lore behind Five Nights at Freddy's, so I know a dumb amount of information about that game just from listening to her talk about it all the time. But I just, nope, not for me.
Oh no. Is it a very serious disorder?
Very deep game, though,
If
unexpectedly.
you were to become afflicted with the disorder, Paimon, you would only be able to say less than a fraction of the words you're saying to the traveler now.
No! Paimon won't accept that! We would have to find a doctor to help cure Paimon. Paimon has a 2,000-word quota for daily conversations with the traveler, and she won't settle for a single word less!
The family doctor has already begun to treat my son, but since the disorder is rare, there aren't many good regimens for treatment. He's also developed some new symptoms lately, such as uncontrollable delusions.
Huh? Uncontrollable what now?
Uncontrollable delusions. To put it simply, he can no longer differentiate between fantasy and reality, and spends all his time in his fantasy world.
Oh.
Then what is he seeing in his fantasy world?
It's a dream that he often mentioned to me when he was younger. I've compiled what I could understand of his recent rambling. It goes a bit like this.
Is this a whole event about helping someone with a mental disorder? That's interesting. Once upon a time, there was a splendid and magnificent underwater kingdom of water imps on the Salacia Plain, 500 feet beneath the surface. You went to see the movie? I don't think I'm going to see it. Maybe one day. Probably not, though. Countless lovely water imps lived in houses made of rainbow shells and corals, tending to sea animals during the day and singing between fields of golden Tadalga during the nights. Everyone led carefree and blessed lives until the day of the Iridescence Parade, the important festival during which the new king would be crowned. Before the festival, all water imps would select the most precious pearl they owned, wrap it in golden branches and leaves, and offer it to their most beloved prince. And during the day of the parade, the prince would cross a rainbow bridge made from all the offered shells and accept the crown from his father amid the applause of his subjects. Finally, the new king would bless everyone with his well wishes. And as for the prince's name, it's none other than Thelxie.
Amazing! Your son came up with all of this? He really crafted a lovely fairy tale world for Thelxie. It's like a beautiful dream.
But perhaps no beautiful dream can ever last long. You see, the story ended with a twist.
Lately, I really only watch like Marvel movies and Disney movies. And anime movies. Because anime. The day of the Iridescence Parade came as expected, but countless monsters also arrived alongside the prince. The monsters were evil and cruel, and they struck fear into all the water imps' hearts. The water imps, adept at singing as they were, could not defend themselves against the monsters, so the kingdom fell, and the king was killed, and the water imps were locked behind bars. The rainbow bridge lost its color and crumbled away. This got dark fast. The prince was barely able to escape with the help of a mysterious masked individual. But he had already lost everything and could only spend his days singing mournful songs. And just as the prince sang out of loneliness, so could his song only be heard by similarly lonely children.
How could the story end like this? Is that kind of fantasizing what caused your son to develop his loneliness syndrome?
Well, it'd be more accurate to say that it was the syndrome that caused such terrible delusions to manifest. But in any case, the biggest problem is the patient eventually loses themselves to the fantasy world of their own creation.
I hope you did that in your house and not in, like, the movie theater. I hate when people talk in movie theaters. That's why I usually just wait for it to come out so I can just watch it at home. What do you mean?
My poor child can no longer differentiate between imagination and reality.
Then live your best
He's begun to see
life.
himself as Thelxie.
Oh,
Perhaps in his mind, the loneliness he felt became the same as that of a prince who lost everything he ever loved or stood for.
What?
this is a very dark
That's what
event.
you meant by uncontrollable delusions. Then we have to help him snap out of it.
Alas, most of the time he acts as if he can no longer sense or interact with the real world at all. I've had several discussions with the doctor, and we think it is best to try to guide his fantasy.
Guide his fantasy.
He once wanted to make a picture book of his imaginary world. But since the disorder progressed too quickly, he never quite got past the first page of the book. If we could use this book as a breakthrough for his condition. Here, you can take a look.
So Zuria's son also saw Thelxie as a penguin. Oh, he looks so sad.
What we should do now is help him complete this picture book. However, we'll lead the story to a different ending. One where the Water Imp Prince is eventually able to restore his kingdom with the help of his friends. We'll need to chase away his loneliness and sorrow, and let him perceive a world full of hope again. That's what I mean by guiding his fantasy.
But if we just need to finish the picture book, why does Fremine need to make a Thelxie as well?
So that the little kid can have a friend, Paimon. Let the little boy have his little fake penguin. I've not heard of Suzume. I'll have to look it up.
Because we need to treat the book's story seriously, as if it's a history of things that have really happened. We'll need to go on a journey like Thelxie and help him regain his crown and country. But my child can no longer go on a journey of his own. This is why I commissioned Fremine here to craft a Thelxie, and then I'll paint the journey with this Thelxie into the picture book.
This woman is very dedicated to my child. To her child. Not my child.
Like a
Dear
stand-in
God.
for your son. Paimon's starting to get it now. Oh, you really put a lot of thought into this, Zuria. Paimon still has one question, though. Where will we be able to find a Water Imp Kingdom?
There are some ruins on the seabed of the Salacia Plains. I've already asked Fremine to research them for me. We'll be able to use one of the ruins as the kingdom.
Okay.
Oh, so we'll just need to act out a performance of, a brave journey through the Kingdom of Water Imps. As long as we chase away the monsters in the ruins, it'll count as chasing away the monsters in the Water Imp Kingdom, right?
Sadly, no. We won't just be putting on a performance. It's just as Zuria said. We need to take this seriously. And the only way we can take this seriously is if we choose to believe everything that's happening is real.
So we'll be playing it straight? Or, making it a fully immersive experience? Oh, neither of those really sound right. Well, either way, we'll still be able to help, right?
I'll certainly try my best.
It's all right. There's no need to get that serious. It's not a big deal. I believe in my son. We can just see this as him wanting to stay asleep for a bit longer, because he's so enamored with his dream.
Zarya.
Keep your spirits up, everyone. If we were to look troubled, my son is sure to become anxious as well. I should be heading back right about now to check on my son. We temporarily moved to a place on the hill over there, so my son will have a better spot to convalesce. It's not far from the water, and there's also a great view. Feel free to come find me if anything urgent comes up.
Understood. There's also one last thing. Since these two friends were able to help me out, I've made some more progress on Thelxie. I estimate that he should be ready sometime tomorrow.
That's great news. I must thank you all. With that in mind, how about we meet here in 2 days' time to head to the Kingdom of Water Imps?
Sure.
All right, everyone. Let's meet again in another 2 days.
Zarya sure is a brave and optimistic lady. Fremine, do you think her plan will work out?
Let's discuss that over by the tent. There were a few things that I didn't bring up because the Madame was here.